Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown,
the unofficial sumo podcast
for official sumo fans.
Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown. This is Ryan.
This is Jake.
This is Fleric.
This is Mac.
And this is our preview for the Nagoya Basho. And we are recording this episode Monday evening, 6 days prior to the Basho. So once again, the usual note that we put at the top of these episodes. If anybody's pulled out, we're not going to know about it. So we might potentially sound like an ass if we predict something good for somebody that ends up not even participating. But hopefully that will not be the case. We'll get started with thanking our patrons. By the way, we have a Patreon. If you would like to sign up, we have two levels currently. We have a $1 level where it entitles you to one compliment per Basho, and we have a $3 level that gets you that one compliment per Basho, and it also gets you the ability to ask us any question of your choosing, and we are bloodbound to sink our blood, sweat, and tears into providing you the best answer possible. Also, if you sign up at the $1, $3 level, that enables you to be eligible for receiving the trading cards that we have started doing between the Basho. We have done two series of those, the 2023 Series 1 and Series 2. And then after this Basho, sometime in the month of August, we're going to start going back in time and opening up some boxes. I think on Big Sumo Fan, the earliest I can get is 2019. So we're going to go back in the Wayback Machine and open up a box of cards from 2019. So what we do with that Patreon money, it helps support the podcast. It pays our lips and fees and dues. It allows us to give back to the fans. It allows us to do the trading cards. It allows us to give a t-shirt to the winner of our bold predictions. Just a myriad of things. None of it's going directly into our pockets. All going
And gives us another chance to interact with you guys. So
absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, the interactions between doing the trading cards, been getting a lot more interactions with our people on Patreon, and that's been fantastic. So without further ado, Jake, we do have one new person for this episode to add to the list of Grand Sumo Breakdown patrons.
That we do. We have Philoclom. Thank you for joining us. Now that you have been promoted to GSB patron, we are promoting you to the new name of Philoshima.
Ooh.
Topical.
Yeah. And to our continuing patrons, Austin, Justice Victor, Warehouse Rats, Cole Brumley, Furori Daoku, Gurr, Trent E, Paul Simpson, DK, T Higgins, the evil Rob Lunsford, Casey Mustang, Josh Schaff, King Arthur, lots of things, Heather Jockins, and Beth Comer. Ooh, you make me live. Whatever this world can give to me, it's you. You're all I see. Ooh, you make me live now, patrons. Ooh, you make me live.
Oh, hold on. That was too much
of
emotion.
friends that I ever had. We've been with you such a long time. You're all my sunshine. And I want you all to know that my feelings are true. I really love you. Ooh, you're my best friends.
That was too much emotion.
I don't like it.
You don't have to like it, Mac.
Although I do
I
appreciate
still
you
don't.
really laying into the H in Huata.
Well, no, I just like the other patron, Gurr. I'm like, simple.
Yeah, that one
easy,
caught me off guard.
Wonderful to remember. That one's great.
And we've
Caught
got
me off
another
guard.
great name added in here with Philoclom. I really love the names that we got.
And of course,
Philoshima.
DK.
Sorry, Philoshima.
Oh, God. Philoshima. Sorry about that.
So, Jake, before we dive into anything related to the upcoming Nagoya Basho, why don't you update us with what's happening in the world of amateur sumo, at least American amateur sumo?
Right. So first and most importantly, everybody that has tried sumo wrestling, raise your hand real quick. Ryan,
That's
not
me.
so fast.
Oof. Yes,
Oh, yeah, I see 3 hands in the air,
down.
but there's
Hands
4
down.
guys on the show. That's so strange. I
Jake, last minute, could you throw something together just to allow me the opportunity to try some sumo sometime soon?
Well,
Hopefully
Ryan,
by
if we
this
go
week.
back into the way yesteryears of earlier this year, and Davenport was a lot of fun.
Davenport was last year. Also,
Oh
Ryan,
God!
what are you
I
up
need
to?
to go
on
further back. Well.
What are you
Oh,
up
no.
to on Saturday, Ryan?
I was planning on hanging out at a gym in Johnston from about noon to 4.
Just randomly. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
so
reason.
on July 8th, here in Des Moines, we are getting together the first actual like training camp sumo seminar here in the DSM area. If you are around, please reach out to us. It's kind of last minute, but we still got space. We got plenty of spare Mawashis, actually. That huge shout out to Hunter from Ohio Sumo, who has human chained a box of like 10 spare Mawashis our way to help out with this kind of thing. Yeah. No, seriously. I literally didn't know what to do about that. Because we have a handful of people that have reached out to us over the months and years about trying sumo, and we finally kind of pulled the trigger, and we're just gonna do it. So show up, and we have a Facebook event, but please reach out to us if you are looking for details on that.
I'm sad I will not be there.
Yeah, Mac will already be in Japan. We'll talk more about that later. But Flarick and I, we already got a couple reps in at the gym with our new recruit Aiden, who is made out of some sort of steel alloy or something. Neither of us have ever beaten him in any sort of match. No, he's but yeah, so we're meeting at the bar. It's a powerlifting gym in Johnston.
An
there's
actual bar.
Well, yeah, I mean it's a joke.
Well,
like,
it's
it's
a
a
gym.
bar, like you put
Yeah.
weights on the bar.
No. Okay, fine. I thought you met him at a bar. Anyway, terrible joke. I'm tired. Let's continue.
Why I can
He was cute.
I'm the
we
host of the
bought him a
Zoom
drink.
meeting, right? I can mute Mac. Yeah, okay.
I think so.
Other than that, though, that's going to be a blast. I'm sure we will do a recap episode just talking about how that goes, just because we are a podcast first and foremost, and athletes significantly further down the list than podcasters.
Yes.
Keep an eye out, though. August 5th will be the Harvest Days Sumo Open in Salt Lake City. And over Labor Day weekend will be the Consulates Cup in Austin, Texas. Those are the next two big amateur tournaments. And all that and more will be covered in the next issue of American Sumo, our next issue of that newsletter coming out in early August. That's what we got.
All right. So I have a proposal for you three for our prediction series that I'm fully expecting to get denied, but I want to bring it up anyways.
All right.
Okay.
We have two Rikishi high
Cleric,
profile.
sit up straight.
We
How's
have
that?
better, worse.
I'm here.
Not by
don't
much,
worry.
though.
We've got two high-profile Rikishi that have undergone Shikona changes since the last Basho. Kiribayama to Kirishima and Ochiai to Hakuoho. My proposal is simple, that the person who messes up the least this episode by referring to these guys by their past Shikona gets 1 bonus point in our prediction series.
Why?
I mean, I'll
fun.
sign on because I'm not going to mess it up.
Who's gonna keep track?
I do. I've already got
Oh,
our
you
names
keep
listed
track.
down. I'll keep a tick mark. If we all tie, then nobody gets a point. If nobody messes up, great. But figured it'd be fun.
All right, fine, let's do it. They get one or they lose one. I forget.
You get just the winner gets one.
Just
No
the winner
negatives.
gets one.
Yes. Small stakes.
What if
All
I
right.
say the wrestler formerly known as OGI? That's still accurate.
That's
Yeah.
still accurate.
We'll
Okay.
allow that. Yeah. It's got to
Okay,
be a
good.
slip up. Yeah. All right. So let's move on. Let's talk about the Nagoya Basho. And I think the biggest story heading into this Basho is who is going to step up to the plate, much like Kirishima did in the previous Basho, to make that next step up to the Ozeki rank, as we have 3 contenders that are currently on an Ozeki run. So let's start talking about the Nagoya Basho. And the most exciting thing heading into this Nagoya Basho is finding out who is going to step up to the plate and take that next step, much like Kirishima did in the previous Basho, to step up to that Ozeki rank. And we currently have 3 Sekiwake that are all eligible for the Ozeki promotion. Sarugatake Oyakata, the head of the promotion committee or something. I don't remember. But he said all three of these guys are on Ozeki runs. We've got Hoshoryu, who has been ranked Sekiwake the past 2 Basho. He's had 10 wins and 11 wins in the past 2 Bashos, and he needs 11 or 12. That 32, 33 number, it's kind of nebulous. So maybe 32 is good enough for him, but he needs 11 or 12 wins this Basho to possibly get that Ozeki rank. He had an interview between the Bashos where he talked about he was visiting Mongolia between the Bashos. I know Kirishima went back to Mongolia for the first time in a long time after his promotion. Hoshoryu talked about he was getting some training from his uncle Asashoryu to hopefully get some.
There's a
Get
video
some-
out there of that.
Oh yeah, no,
yeah.
I was just about to comment on that too, Flarik. I was like,
There's some
that
stuff on
was
Instagram.
to help him make the next leap. When asked what they did, what they talked about, he said that was confidential. But he also said
Sumo, probably.
Yeah, well, yeah.
no way.
Taking it one day at a time.
Yeah.
Do
Focus
your
on his
brand.
brand of sumo. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
But he said that he is very motivated by the promotion of Kirishima and that Kirishima got there before Hoshoryu did. So he's kind of got a little chip on his shoulder after Kirishima got that promotion before himself. So I'm
Understandably so.
absolutely. He was at the Sekiwake rank, and then Kirishima was at Komosubi, and then Sekiwake for was it 2 Basho for Kirishima, and then he vaulted right over Hoshoryu up to Ozeki. So
Mhm.
I can understand he was there longer. He was expecting the results, and he didn't quite get there first.
Yeah, Kirishima is also 3 years older, so he's got a little bit of a head start there.
Mhm.
Worth at least noting. But yeah, it's I totally understand. I love that I love that there's a rivalry there, and I hope that that's something that we see those guys face off for years.
But
Absolutely.
Hoshoryu struck first. Like we were saying earlier, Hoshoryu's been up there a lot longer than Kirishima has.
Another Ozeki contender is Daisho. He had a Basho at Komosubi where he got 12 wins, followed that up with a 10-win Basho from Sekiwake. So he's in possibly the best position here, needing only 10 or 11 wins to get to 32 or 33 wins for that Ozeki promotion. The only reason I say he's possibly in the best position is because he was at Komosubi, then Sekiwake, maybe Hoshoryu, since he's been at Sekiwake for a full year now. He only needs 32, whereas Daisho, he was at Komosubi and Sekiwake. Maybe they want to see 33 from him. Maybe it's a little different for those two guys, but we'll see. And then there's the third guy, that is Waka Motoharu, who was at Komosubi. He got 11 wins from there, and the last Basho from Sekiwake, he had 10 wins. He's also looking at needing 11 or 12 wins to make that jump. And this is a very exciting Basho because we have some history being made in that there are 3 Rikishi entering this Basho that are on an Ozeki run. All 3 were ranked Komosubi or Sekiwake and had 10 plus wins in each of the previous 2 Basho. That has never happened before with 3 Rikishi. And in fact, if you include Kirishima in this is the first time that 4 Rikishi that were ranked Komosubi or Sekiwake in the previous 2 Bashos had 10 plus wins over the previous 2 Basho. So this group of 4 Rikishi is doing something that's never been done before in the junior Sanyaku ranks and have this consistent success Basho over Basho to push for that Ozeki rank all at the same time. We saw Kirishima was successful. We'll see if another one of these 3 guys will also be successful. So I want to ask each of you, who do you want to be promoted the most? I think we all, to certain degrees, want all 3 of these guys to be promoted, but which one do you want to see the most? And I'll start with Mac.
For this one, I would say just for selfish, I would want Hoshoryu just because I keep waiting for him to just crack. He's right there. He's been there for so long. He's hung on for so long, and he's just getting better little by little. I'm just waiting for that time where he just cracks it and becomes that Ozeki and joins Kirishima. It's just, come on, man.
What about you, Flair? Who you cheering for the most this Basho?
I think you definitely, I resonate with what you said, where all of us kind of really like these people. All of them doing well would be great. For I guess the bottom would probably be Wakamoto Haru for me, but of the 2, I there's something about Daisho that has just kind of been catching on the last couple of Basho, and I really want this guy to pull it off. I'm not convinced he's gonna be like a long stay. Like it might be like kind of a just like maybe just like sticks around for maybe a Shodai. He's hot for a bit and then like he sticks around. But I just
Is that good for longevity though?
Getting Ozeki is great.
Well, you
Longevity
know
of
what
your
I
career.
mean. I mean, don't you want a strong? Never mind. Anyway,
Yeah.
Being an Ozeki longer is definitely good for longevity. Yeah.
Is
you
is
know
good,
what
yeah.
I mean.
It's well, in theory, you want some people, but like there's like in the story of sumo, like there's people who stick around for a long time, but there's also these hot flashes in the pan. They do well, and we don't know about Daisho yet. Like he can still be. He's been on the Joy for a very long time. He can probably be very consistent. Maybe he's a Guedo and like just annoys Ryan to no death, and that would be perfect. It would be good. Anyways, a long way to say is like I'm looking at Daisho. I really hope he pulls off. Let's go.
I was kind of hoping you would be like, so that's a long-winded way of saying Hoshoryu.
Just bring it all back.
I'm agreeing with Mac. I guess I would disagree on the like it's been so long, it's finally time. Like he's still like only 3 years in the top division at all. I think he's still in the blue chip prospect kind of cabinet drawer for me. Like he's still filed under like hot upcoming prospect. Whereas Daisho is more of like Daisho feels more like a Shodai, like late career flash in the pan resurgence, kind of like outperforming himself for a time.
Like the cap of your career, probably. Like
Yeah, maybe that's a better way to
your
say
career.
it. But like somebody that's really good that like has one specific year where they're better than they ever were otherwise. I don't know. But yeah, I guess go ahead, Flair.
This is probably an interesting thing for like for you, Jake, who loves to look at stats and stuff, or maybe even you, Ryan. Like the age of when people usually like hit prime, like their highest rank and stuff. So because it's I'll be kind of curious because like 29 is Daisha right now. This could definitely be kind of when he's probably in like his athletics prime, like he's like probably in really good shape, a developed body. He's probably really smart too. Like he's picked up a lot of experience. Like this is probably the time where he's as best so far. So
could be. Then again, Takakeisho hit Ozeki when he was 22. So like I think it's one of those things where like, yeah, maybe there is an ideal peak, but it's a very wide distribution of what it could be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, probably it's weird when there's a high cap, but for the lower ranks, I'll be kind of curious about.
Hoshoryu, like the first time that he was Sekiwake was less than a year ago. So like, even though it feels like he's been there a while, he's still on an exclusively upward trajectory. And to me, that feels like the next step is Ozeki. Obviously, I just do feel like that's where I see him going. Cause that's, the other two guys, even though Wakamoto Haru is like newer on this discussion, he and Daisho are both like nearly 30, right? Like where's Wakamoto Haru age wise?
He is 29 years old. He'll turn 30 in October.
There you go. So like they're both in kind of a spot where it would be outperforming their history for them to get that rank. Whereas Hoshoryu, I feel like we still have no idea what his ceiling is.
Yeah, I mean, Hoshoryu is who I want. He's
there we go.
One of my favorites right now, but
not Wakamoto Haru. Wow.
I was about to say, God damn, do I really want to see it for Wakamoto Haru too?
This is revenge.
Like it would just be so cool to see this guy debut in Makuuchi at 28 and then just absolutely hit the ground running and make it to Ozeki in under a year in a year and a half. That would just be an amazing story. I'd have to do some research, but it'd be probably very unlikely to have any precedent, I would assume. And I really love Wakamoto Haru sumo. I really want to see that, but if I'm being honest with myself, it's Hoshoryu. I want to see Hoshoryu get there. And I know we were talking about, is it feasible for all of them to get there? And I think very easily there is a path for all three of these guys to go 12-3 records, and they don't really have to outperform their rank all that much. All three of them could lose to Terunofuji. All three of them would need to do 50-50 against Kirishima and Takakeisho, and then each one would need to split their matches against the other two. As long as they beat everybody below them, there is a path to 12-3. Is that going to happen? Absolutely not. But there is a path to 12-3, and all three of them to potentially make the jump to Ozeki, which would probably be an unprecedented 3 Rikishi jump to Ozeki in 1 Basho, and 4 over 2 Basho would be crazy.
But there's still a chance. It's not a non-zero
There
chance.
is absolutely a chance, and I'm here for it.
I mean, last time of the 4 guys that we're talking about, if you toss Kirishima back in this group, 2 of them got 11 wins, 2 of them got 10 wins.
Yeah.
By Ryan's math, if 2 of those same guys got 11 and 2 of them got 10, that's very possible. The precedent was like last time, like that fairly recent, one might say. So yeah, I think it's fully possible, but yeah, I would agree that it's unlikely. I think the over under for sure is 1.5, right? Like I feel like that's where I would put the betting line if I was in charge of that.
Yeah. So now we've talked about who we want to see it happen to the most, but now who do we think it's going to happen to? Like how many, if any, will be promoted after this Basho, Jake? Give me names.
I think 2. I think Hoshoryu, and I think I'm torn between the other 2, but I think Daisho, maybe just because I've seen him more. Maybe that's why I have a little bit more confidence in him. Wakamoto Haru is still kind of tough for me to accept as like an elite level guy.
I've made that jump. I've accepted.
Oh, I know you have.
Yes.
But like I think between Wakamoto Haru and Daisho, it's likely that one of them will join Hoshoryu, who I feel like has. I think he has the best chance, not just in my heart, but also in my head.
Yeah.
And I think just based on odds, I would bet on one of the other 2 guys joining. Since you're gonna make me pick anyways, Daisho is where I'm gonna go.
Oh, well, yeah, I was going to make you pick between those 2.
Well,
yeah. Hoshoryu and Daisho is my bet if I have to pick.
Yeah. For me, my heart is in the same place as my head. I think Hoshoryu is the guy that's proven he can get these records more consistently than these other guys, just because Hoshoryu spent the past 1.5 years in the junior Sanyaku ranks, and 2 out of his last 3 have been 10 wins, 11 wins. So we've seen it from him recently. We know he can get there. I think with that extra chip on his shoulder from the Kirishima promotion, I think that's just going to be the extra motivation, getting that extra schooling from his uncle. Could never hurt as well. So I think Hoshoryu is going to make it. I think Hoshoryu is the only one that makes it after this Basho. I'm optimistic after these past couple of Basho. Like Sumo's actually got me optimistic this year for the first time since we started watching Sumo, but I'm not optimistic enough to think that we're going to get 2 Ozeki promoted after this Basho. What about you, Mac?
For this one, as much of a fire as I think as Hoshoryu has under him, I don't know if it's going to be enough because he still gets into his head. He hasn't shown that level of calm that I've been hoping to see. And Daisho is so hit or miss. I don't think we're going to get any. I'm going to go with the negative on this and say nobody.
Oh,
I want it. I
real.
want to be wrong.
It's
I
very
want
real.
to be wrong, but
yeah,
there's too much. There's too much at stake with this one.
I gotta say the numbers do not back that up, Mac.
Okay.
Hoshoryu has had 5 tournaments as Sekiwake. 3 times he has gotten double digits. And let's see, if we go back to Komusubi, he had 3 middling but still Kachikoshi records. I feel like his upward trajectory has yet to really hit any major hitches here. So yeah, I would disagree on that point, but I can't say your opinion is wrong or whatever. I'm just saying I would disagree that is a point of evidence against Hoshoryu.
No, I'm entitled to be wrong. I want to be wrong.
Yeah, as we have established many a time on this show. we all have that right.
I will say in Mac's defense though, like Hoshoryu can still get a double digit Basho, 10 wins, and still not make
And
the
still not get
33
it.
over 03.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's hard. Like we could be another Basho of just everyone gets like 10 across the board, and it's like, well, I guess
We'll
everyone
just push
except
it
maybe
till the next
Daisho.
one. Yeah.
Yep. Anyways, was that your closing thought, Mac?
Yep, that was my closing thought. It's like, I don't
All
think anybody. I think there's some shenanigans that are going to happen, and nobody's going to get it.
Yeah. Sumo's hard. As a
Sumo
sumo
is hard.
wrestler,
As
I
a
will
sumo
say,
wrestler, Flaret can say
It
that
is-
now.
yeah, as someone who has put on the Mawashi and done sumo, I will I will say it's definitely very hard and
Hey,
disagree with everything
real
Ryan
quick
says.
interjection. Fleric and I did make a tiny wager on our final match yesterday when we were practicing. He did win. So Fleric, anytime I address you, I'm sorry, sir. Anytime I address you, I need to make sure
Oh.
that I say sir.
You must call him sir.
Yes.
That is true. Thank you for remembering that. Although I will say I think you beat me like 3 times before that or something like that.
I think
it was
did,
the last
yeah.
one.
But it was
the
that last one where
where
we were both trying really hard because we didn't want to have to debase ourselves.
Yeah. I was like doing like silly beginner stuff, like just like leaning too far forward or too far back, and you're just like, whoop.
Yeah, if we start wrestling against each other regularly, sir, we are definitely going to like upset the balance a little bit of our wagers on the show. It's going to change our podcast for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm going to lean towards the math. With Daisho needs 1 less than everyone else, and that kind of makes my brain go with my heart as well. And I'm thinking he probably has the best of it all. Holshore would be a close second, but he's also coming off of vacation, so he's not like training the entire time, which could be like really good or really bad. It's hard to say.
Fair
And
enough.
Wakamoto Haru is Wakamoto Haru, so I'm just gonna say 1, and it's gonna be Daisho, and then this. We'll see about next. But I think they're going to do quite well. They might actually everyone get double digit 10 across the board, and only Daisho gets promoted. That's my guess.
All right.
Either way, it's going to be exciting. It's exciting to have 3 different guys to cheer for an Ozeki run. We're not putting all of our eggs in one Ozeki basket. So it's going to be very fun Basho to watch throughout. So let's talk about our defending champion a little bit in Yokozuna Terunofuji. He has got to be the prohibitive favorite once again to win the Yusho, but there was some little concerning news that came out just a couple of days ago. He had a little bit of a setback in training on July 1st. He had to cut his training short due to lower back issues. And per Isegahama Oyakata, apparently throw it onto the pile of maladies that Terunofuji suffers from, but he apparently has a slipped disc, and it's an old injury that he's just had, I guess, and it just comes up from time to time. He did practice in his Heya the following day, and he said that the back pain was just a little pain that flashed, and then he went on Daigeko the following, actually today, I think, July 3rd, and competed against Gonoyama. It was a translated article, like a Google Translate article, so I don't fully trust the numbers that it gave me. But it said, I think what it was telling me is he fought Gonoyama 12 times, winning 9 of them. But I don't fully trust that. I just know that he fought Gonoyama at least a few times.
Sure.
So he's out doing training. So he seems to be doing fine, but it is concerning to add slip disc to 0 knees and diabetes.
The myriad of other maladies.
Yeah. So Jake, I mentioned in my mind Terunofuji still the prohibitive favorite to win his 9th career Yusho, but what percentage chance would you give Terunofuji to win this Yusho?
Well, he admitted out loud that he was feeling pain, and for a sumo wrestler, I think that means he's on the verge of death. Like I think that is a pretty serious thing, but yeah, I think it's like it's really tough because the question here isn't, do you think he's still the best wrestler? The question here is purely health. And I mean, that's a disclaimer we have to discuss every time we do any preview of any Basho. But yeah, when it comes down to it, do I trust the reports that he is feeling better? Not really. So like, I mean, I guess I would probably put him at like 40%, but if he completes the entire Basho wrestling every day, probably like 80%. You know, like I feel like that's a fair spread. Like if he's healthy enough to compete, I would agree with you, but I just don't trust him to be healthy enough to compete. He's let's see, the Basho, the last Basho that he won, of course, you know, great job. He did 14-1. That's incredible. But it was the first one that he had completed since a year ago. So it's, and before that, he only had 2 before the injury before that. So like it's very difficult because I hate these predictions where we're just purely predicting, is he healthy or not? Because it just feels so pessimistic to me.
Do you feel like he's at the state Hakuoho was, where it kind of was at every other Basho? Like he did well one, and the other one he kind of, yeah, I'll take it off. now do well one, take another one off. Is he
Sure.
at that stage of his career?
I sure think so. I would put my opinion in that boat where, like, if he's healthy enough to complete all 15 days, he's the favorite for sure. But like Hakuoho, he's going to be a little bit conservative because he doesn't have to worry about losing his rank, so he's more likely to take some time off than anybody else. So yeah, I think 40% is about where I would put it. But yeah, bump that up, double it if he's healthy enough to compete the whole time.
I'm a little comforted by the fact that he is out doing Daigeko. He is out training. He's not like holding himself back. It's like, it hurts now, but I'm going to be there day one. Like, no, he's going out. He's doing the training. So that does comfort me a little bit. And it's Terunofuji. He's been fighting through these things for who knows how long. And he's got 8 Yusho so far. We can look it up on Sumo TV.
We have the data.
What's a 9th Yusho to him? So I kind of have more trust in Terunofuji. I feel like we've kind of known if he wasn't doing good, and I from what I've seen, I think he's going to be okay. I think it was a minor setback. I'm not concerned about Terunofuji finishing this Basho.
Sure.
So I don't know. I'd probably 80% sounds about right to me.
So you're gonna trust that he's competing the whole time, and if we take that as a assumption, then we're on the kind of same page. Cool.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Anybody else have any differing thoughts on Terunofuji?
I'm with you, Ryan, but just kind of for the exact same things. The fact that he's doing sumo is pretty good. One counterpoint to Jake's thing of where he showed weakness. So like, what's one thing sumo wrestlers you shouldn't do? He's at the top. He can take time off, and he's been known to, if he's not feeling healthy, to like just not do it. So I do think we can probably take his actions maybe a little more at face value that he's probably feeling pretty okay. Then so I don't know. I'm hopeful that's gonna go well.
So we're gonna do things a little out of order how we usually do them. We already did it by talking about Sekiwake before Yokozuna and Ozeki, but we're gonna kind of break the rank order that we usually do these previews in, and we're gonna jump right to our Makuuchi debuts, because if I haven't mentioned before, I'm really up on this year of sumo and the upward momentum we're getting. These 4 Ozeki runs, 1 completed so far that we've had this year has been awesome, but so has the up and coming stars, young stars of sumo, and I can't wait to talk about 3 more of them that are debuting in Makuuchi this Basho. First one is going to be Gonoyama, who is debuting at Maegashira 13. He is the only Sekitori from the Takeguma stable. He's 25 years old. He debuted in March 2021 in the Sandanme division. Yes, Jake?
Oh, nothing important. I just wanted to interject on Takekuma. That is Goedo's elder name.
Yes.
And I looked it up because Kuma means bear. So I was like, I wonder what that stable name means. It's a different Kuma. If you translate that name, it means warrior corner.
Like warrior corner?
Corner or nook or recess.
Warrior Nook.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah.
So
like that.
Yeah, I came across that and figured that was worth sharing.
Yeah. So yeah, Gonoyama is the only Sekitori from the Warrior Nook.
From the Warrior Nook.
Yep. It's only what I'm referring to the Takekuma stable as from now on. They are the Warrior Nook. I can only hope we get more Sekitori from the Warrior Nook. He debuted in March 2021 in the Sandanme division. He did have the amateur success that allowed him to skip the lower 3 divisions. He rose quickly through Sandanme and lower Makushita through his first 4 Basho before getting injured and pulling out midway through his 5th Basho. So that was a losing record for him. And then after a slight drop in rankings, he won the Makushita Yusho the following Basho, and then that got him to the the upper ranks of Makusha, where he had a couple of 4-3 records, and he made his Sekitori debut in last year's Nagoya Basho. So he spent a full year down in Juryo, and his last 3 Juryo Bashos, he had an 11-win Basho, a 9-win Basho, and his incredibly impressive 14-1 Yusho last Basho, where he was the only Rikishi to beat the then Ochiai, and he did it twice in convincing fashion. And as Jake mentioned, Gonoyama is Goeido's pupil, so I'm just gonna get a big hate on this guy immediately for no reason. He is number 1 on the shit list. Kagayaki, who cares about that guy? He's not relevant. Why do we hate on him? Gonoyama is the new big bad for me until further notice.
He's not a prospect. He's an
enemy of the state.
He's an
I'm
arrogant
mad.
upstart. Yeah.
And I'm mad that he's from my favorite stable, the Warrior Nook.
The Warrior Nook.
Oh dear. It's like the little corner of the room where you go to train even harder.
Well, it's Nook. It's for warriors. Warriors.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do the other stables real quick. Don't mind me.
Jake, did you do any of your Namiyama analysis for these newcomers?
I didn't. Some of the times it's more useful than others. For a lot of these guys, I don't necessarily like to do like the lower divisions.
Mhm.
Part of this is me covering up for I could have done more work, but I didn't. But also part of it is the lower divisions. You don't necessarily see as much that is indicative of their style.
Mhm.
Especially if these guys are these prospects that we're talking about. If they're still doing good by midway, I'll run some extra numbers. But yeah, I mean, let me just bring him up real quick because we can definitely get like a quick pass at it, real just off the top.
Yeah.
He's
And there's not
definitely
as
more
much
of
data,
a
right?
No,
there's
only
not as
2
much
years
data,
of data
Only
for
2
him.
years.
Well,
yeah.
more variance.
but I also know Sumo DB better than I used to, so I can get a quick glance at it just from his page.
I
And
know
he's-
from watching him down at Juryo, he's much more pusher thruster
Yes.
style. Rikishi doesn't go for the belt as much. His top Kimarite is Oshidashi, which he's done 39 times,
Yep.
and then the next one is Yorikiri, which is 14 times. So he's not belt averse like a Taki Keisho or an Abi, but he much prefers the pushing.
He's nearly there. Like if
Yeah.
those guys are at one end of the spectrum, he's at like maybe an 8.5 out of 10 or something.
Well, yeah,
Because he's got 14
triple the
Yorikiris.
number of Yorikiris as Takakeisho does.
I'm
in
just
his
saying
career.
he's got 14 Yorikiris, but after that you go right back to the pushing techniques if you go down his list with 12 Tsukidashis. So
What's
yeah,
his first belt throw win? Does he have a belt throw? Shitate Dashinage with 1? Is that his first belt throw?
I see what you mean. If you're going down the list
Yeah.
from the top. Yeah. So Yorikiri, Yoritaoshi are generally like a grip on the belt, but leaving the ring. As for a throw, it looks like he's got 2.5, I guess. Shitate Dashinage is a pulling underarm throw. Shitate Nage is an underarm throw without like the pulling aspect to it. And Skui Nage is a no belt throw.
Okay.
So
And he's
3
got
total
one
in
of
his
each of
career.
those. Yeah.
Yeah. Kote
One
Nage
of
is
each.
another throw without a belt. But yeah, it's pretty much just pushing.
Okay.
What's up, Flair?
There was some insight on maybe his training from his Warrior Corner coach.
Warrior Core.
There was one of the training sessions they went to with Asanoyama. Like they all got together and did some training, and he got some matches against Asanoyama along with Gonoyama. And while there was Goeido, or Warrior Corner was just kind of there yelling advice as Oikatas do, from the side. And what he yelled is like, if you let him catch you, you can't do anything. The Keiko becomes useless, he shouted. So like it might be one of those things where, because it sounds like Goeido wanted the training to be against bigger guys, so he just gets used to it because there's a lot of bigger people like in Makuuchi. So maybe it was like a matchup thing, but it sounds like he's maybe saying like, just don't let him catch you at all. Like don't get any belt stuff going on.
Yeah.
Just like push him away. That's how you should do your brand of sumo.
Yeah, got Takakeisho up to Ozeki, so I would say why not Gonoyama, but he's a pile of garbage. He's not going to amount to anything. He's probably going to go back to Juryo after this.
Well, you
Basho,
are just
never come
piling
back.
on the hate to this guy.
Yeah,
I've got to have somebody to throw a good hate into, and you know what? Who better than Goeido's pupil? Let's carry on the legacy.
Yep.
We've got a second Rikishi making his Makuuchi debut. This is Shona no Umi. He is in the Takadagawa stable. Jake, what does Takadagawa mean?
Give me a minute.
All right. He is
Looking at this.
alongside Ryuden, Kagayaki, and Hakuyozan as fellow Sekitori in that stable. He is also 25 years old, but he's taken a much slower route than the other debutantes this Basho to the top division, as Shonan no Umi debuted in March of 2014 at 15 years old. He made his Makushita debut 2.5 years later in November of 2016. He would remain in Makushita for the next 6 years before making his Juryo debut in January of this year. And then all he did once he made it to Juryo was get scores of 12 wins, 9 wins, and 11 wins to march his way into the top division this Basho.
Yeah. Just to give a little context, you said he took the long way. Like there was definitely a kind of a difference. There were some of these like non-college kids we'll probably talk about who didn't actually go through college. They decided as soon as after high school they entered the Heya. And there's some people who stayed in the collegiate like Heya system and then they joined in later. And then they seem to be like hot stuff. They're like already good. But the thing is they did the exact same thing of just kind of developing through the entire time. We just don't have pro records of the time.
That's right.
Kind of a
Yeah.
thing
Right. Because like I said,
keep in mind.
They're both 25 years old. It's the only difference. Shonan no Umi's done all of his training on the dojo in Grand Sumo. Gonoyama did all of his training in university and all that stuff. So,
but still, starting off at 15 to go into the Heya, that's
he's
brutal.
been in the Heya life much longer. And you can see that these guys that start at 15, there's a reason we don't have any like 16 or 17-year-olds that have made their Makuuchi debut. It's because when you're debuting that young, it takes a while to get your feet under you to get that training. So it's not
to build
up
your body
right away.
Even Hakuoho was like a skinny little dude when he first entered.
Sumo. Just a wee baby. Takadagawa is much less exciting. The three kanji are expensive, rice field, and river.
Okay.
And expensive as in like, like an honorific type adjective, like tall or high or treacherous or what have you. Is kind of the Yeah, sure. It's the same taka as in Takayasu. So maybe Shonan no Umi is now maybe for just as irrational reasons as Ryan, I like him. So. But no, style wise, he is Here's an interesting one. So he does Yorikiri and Oshidashi almost the same number of times as each other, but those are his second and third most commonly executed techniques. Any guesses? Ryan, you probably already looked it up.
I'm looking at it.
Yeah, but any guesses as what is his number one most common technique? It is Hataki Komi. So I am
slap down.
Yeah, I haven't really watched much Shonan no Umi other than like, maybe some of the later matches of Juryo when we knew that these guys were going to be prospects on their way up. But I'm kind of expecting some like Abi-ish fleet footwork, to make those pulling attempts work while also mixing in a range of other techniques. He's definitely a lot more on the belt than somebody like Abi, but maybe he's got a lot more movement or something like that to make the Hataki Komis work.
Maybe he comes out high and just deflects the arms as they're coming in and then just smacks them down after he runs into them.
Or maybe he's just landed 46 Henkas already. I don't know.
Also, yes. The Chiyoshima special.
I would maybe not expect too much of that from Shonan no Umi, because if you look at his Hataki Komi wins, 46 of them, only 3 have come since he's been in Juryo, and all 3 of those were his first Juryo Basho. So he hasn't done that really done that for the past 2 Basho in Juryo. So maybe he's evolved his game to the point where he doesn't have to rely on the slapdown. He's able to mostly get Yorikiri and Oshidashi now.
I think it's that's an excellent observation. That's a good point out there that I would imagine there's some aspect of him developing his style of sumo. I would also imagine there's an aspect of it just doesn't work anymore. It's harder to get timing on guys that are better. This is something that me and Fleric experienced yesterday. This new recruit that we were wrestling at, really good at that timing. I don't know if that will hold up against guys more experienced than me and Fleric, but really, really good at feeling when somebody starts to put in a little bit too much, a little bit of an overcommitment to like trying to resist the push. That's when you're easy to pull down. Yeah. So I wonder if that's something that he experienced more often against smaller, younger guys in the lower division, and it just doesn't work anymore. So that'd be fun to see if it comes back. But if you take that out, if you just ignore that, then he's pretty meat and potatoes, Yorikiri Oshidashi frequently and making up the vast majority of his wins. So it'd be exciting to see.
Another note on Shona Naomi is he is the reason there is the current concussion rule that there is that prevents a clearly concussed Rikishi from competing. So this happened back 2.5 years ago in January of 2021. He suffered a concussion in his bout when he was down in Makushita. Both Rikishi bumped heads at the Tachiai, forcing the match to be stopped as Shona Naomi was unable to get up for an extended period of time.
Well, it was a mata, though. Like, right? It was
I
a
think
false
that's
start.
What, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was a false start that he got concussed on, and he clearly couldn't continue, but they tried to make him.
Well, after deliberation, the Shimpan decided to restart the match at the urging of Shona Naomi, which the first thing you should do, like the first person you should listen to
is
when
the
it comes
concussed
to
guy.
the athlete.
is the concussed person. That's the person you need to take your advice from.
That's medicine 101. Listen to the concussed guy.
And ultimately, the Shimpan were proven correct. Shona Naomi won the rematch. So what? No harm, no foul. But no.
Except to his brains.
Yeah. After this incident, JSA created a rule preventing wrestlers from competing if they have a concussion or any other physical abnormality, regardless of the wrestler's intentions. I think there's been at least one time we've seen this happen. It was Enho down in Juryo, where there's supposed to be a rematch. He was clearly messed up, and they just didn't do it.
Yeah.
He lost the match. So interesting note on Shona Naomi, but neither of these guys is the reason why I bumped up the Makuuchi debut segment. It's because as much as I hate Gonoyama, do I hate that Gonoyama?
And as much as I apparently love Shona Naomi.
This Hakuoho fella is making his Makuuchi debut. He is in the Miyagino stable alongside Hokuseiho, Enho, and brand new Sekitori this Basho, Kiho. We don't really need to go too in depth on Hakuoho because there's not a whole lot to go into. He debuted in January of this year in the Makushita division. He became the first ever Rikishi to become a Sekitori in just his second career Basho, and he's the second ever Rikishi to make it to Makuuchi after only 3 Basho, the first being Endo. He is 19 years old. He will turn 20 by the time the September Basho starts.
Yeah, I think we should at least mention his previous name, even at risk of losing a prediction
the
point.
wrestler formerly known as
Ochia.
Ochia.
Yeah, he was the hot stuff that's been. If you've been kind of listening around on some sumo news stuff, like he's been the hot stuff, like is kind of been recently coming up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So like, if you remember the Ochia guy who was getting a lot of buzz, this is him.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so we had mentioned when Hakuoho started 7-0 and made it up to Juryo, and he got 10 wins in his Juryo debut. It's like, okay, he has 17 wins over his first 2 Basho. Like, since he's the first guy that's ever been in the Sekitori ranks after his first Basho, and he has 17 wins, would he have the most wins to start off his career?
Has to be, right? Because that's more than 14.
After 2 Basho, I would say probably. It gets a little confusing, so we'll go into it. So if we're considering the modern era only, which is 1958 onwards, definitively, yes, he has the most wins in his first 3 Basho in his career, with 31 wins, with 7, 10, and 14. The next closest is 26 wins, so he's well clear of the next closest through 3 Bashos. That was Takeuchi in 1998. He debuted at Makushita 60, and that's where Makushita Sukedashi used to start. They didn't always start up at Makushita 10 and 15, and so he started his career with 2 consecutive Makushita Yusho 7-0 records, and then he debuted in Juryo with a 12-3 record to get to 26. But Hakuoho is going to have to be on his game this Basho to keep the record going as the most wins through the first 4 wins or 4 Basho of his career, as in his second Juryo Basho, Takeuchi with 14-1. Pushing that mark to 40 wins over 4 Basho. So if Hakuoho wants to tie or exceed that mark, he needs 9 wins to tie, 10 wins to surpass Takeuchi's start for most wins over their first 4 Basho. So that's the kind of career Hakuoho is having right now. We're talking about the most wins to start a career ever. But like I said, it gets a little complicated because if you look at prior to 1958, maybe he has the record. It depends on how you feel about a new term to me, and we're gonna. This is gonna be a fun fact for everybody. The term Shinjo. So apparently, Shinjo was a designation given to a rikishi who was performing well in Maizumo, which is like your first basho, but you're not really on the Bansuke. It's just kind of like getting your feet under you for a couple of matches. So back in like the 40s, 50s, if you performed well in a couple of Maizumo matches, you would become Shinjo and allow you to fight rikishi in the Jonokuchi division in that same basho that you were Maizumo. If you did well in your matches against the Jonokuchi rikishi in the next basho, you could skip that division and go straight to Jonidan. So that's an old system. It's not implemented anymore. So if we count the basho where rikishi were given the Shinjo designation as their first official basho, then Hakuoho is still the record holder. But if we don't count the basho where rikishi were given the Shinjo designation and treat it like Maizumo, which we really don't count Maizumo matches in like a rikishi's record, then Hakuoho wouldn't be the record holder for most wins to start your career. That would belong to Tamikaze, who had 32 wins over his first 3 basho. And the reason he was able to get to 32 wins is because between May of 1949 and January of 1953, all divisions fought 15 matches per basho.
Oh, come on.
So Tamikaze started his career. He was Shinjo, and then I believe he went up to the Jonokuchi division in his second basho. So if we're not counting that Shinjo one, where he did Maizumo and Jonokuchi matches, and we just count his first basho up in Jonidan, he went 9-3, 13-2, 10-5, and he would be the leader for most wins to start your career. Also, if we don't count that Shinjo basho as your first basho, 46th Yokozuna Asashio also had 31 wins over his first 3 basho. He debuted in the same basho as Tamikaze, and he went 9-3, 11-4, and 11-4 in his first 3 basho.
Not bad.
So, I just thought that was kind of interesting knowledge, kind of how it worked back in the olden days, and just kind of the career that Hakuoho is having. I think I stated it on the review episode for the Natsu Basho, but I'm easily predicting 10-5 record for Hakuoho here. Special prize for him in his debut.
All right.
If I may attempt to one up you on pedantic, weird old sumo stuff.
Oh, please.
How many
Just
losses?
say fun fact.
How many
Fun fact.
losses does he have in his first 3 basho?
6, 7 if you count the playoff.
So I can do you one better there and give you a rikishi that only lost 1 match in his first 3 basho.
Ooh.
That would be Raiden.
Oh, come on. Wait, hold it. The legendary
Yes.
guy?
The legendary cheater at all stats Raiden.
Ah.
The Raiden who went 254-10 in his career, who debuted at Sekiwake.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh no, it's all complete bull, of course.
Okay.
But like, I had to bring it up because I was like, wait a second, I remember him being like absurd for stats like this. So yeah,
and
go
carried
look
the stone on his back as he went from village to village.
Uphill both ways.
So yeah, Raiden, Raiden. His first name I believe is pronounced Tamaemon. We did a bonus episode on him way back when, like 6 years ago, and I'm pretty sure I pronounced everything wrong back then. But either way, he breaks every stat. It's like comparing a hockey player to Wayne Gretzky. It's like, it's not even like fun, it's just wrong.
Don't do it.
But yeah, Hakuoho, even the fact that I brought that guy up is saying a lot for Hakuoho.
Well, yeah, but I could also point out a bunch of other rikishi that had 0 losses in their first 3 basho.
You're right.
Hokuseiho, Enho, but those are all lower division, 7 matches
Did
per
they
basho. You
debut
can't
at
really compare it.
Sekiwake? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. Fair point. So the winds of change are a blowing for sumo right now. We've seen the retirements of guys like Chiyotaryu, Okinoumi, Tochinoshin, Ichinojo, all have left, and to replace them, we've got some really potential promising names to fill those shoes. Hakuoho, Keen Bozan, Gonoyama, Hokuseiho. So I feel like we have a larger group of great prospects that are 25 years or younger debuting recently than we've seen since we've started this podcast. I think this is the best crop of young Rikishi that we've seen in a long time. And so I kind of wanted to see who we thought was going to take that next step and rise up the rankings, and joining Hoshoryu as that kind of like young Ozeki hopeful, and maybe Ozeki is just a stepping stone to the next step for these guys.
Sure.
I feel we've got Daisho and Wakamoto Haru up there competing for Ozeki right now, but I feel like Hoshoryu, Kirishima are kind of in a different level, where Daisho, Wakamoto Haru, like I said, I feel like this is the crowning achievement of your career, whereas Hoshoryu, Kirishima, this might be a stepping stone to the next step.
Yeah, I like that line of thought.
So we've got a group of 8 guys. Some of them have been around for a couple of years, that are 25 and under and have not made it to the Sanyaku ranks yet. Those are Hira Umi, who is 23, Hokuseiho is 21, Oho 23, Keen Bozan. Technically he's 26, but who's counting? We're gonna throw him in here.
I like how you wrote that out exactly in the outline. Like,
Yeah.
but who's counting, really?
Yeah, who's counting? The evil Gonoyama, who's 25, Koto Shoho, who's 23, Shona Naomi, who is 25, and Hakuoho, who is 19.
All right. My favorite part about that is you can easily say Rikishi that are 26 and younger.
Yes.
But you
Like
went
you did.
25 anyways.
25 is better, and Keen Bozan's like just on the other side of 25. Like, he's still 25 at heart, so it counts.
It counts.
And he just debuted last Basho. Just let him, or 2 Bashos ago. Let him be in this group, guys. Come on. Who is at the top of our list? Who do we think is the next big guy? Obviously for me, I'm gonna say it's Hakuoho. Does everybody agree on that, or do you guys have somebody else at the top of your list for prospect to make the jump?
I don't know.
I would put forth. Oh, go ahead, Jake.
I was gonna say Hokuseiho is one of the other guys I'm kind of tossing. Yeah,
Yep.
you were gonna say him too. I would
exactly.
toss him in the top tier of these guys as well. I would agree with you on Hakuoho. If gun to my head, I might pick Hakuoho ahead of him. But Hokuseiho feels like there's so little that has to change in order for him to bust out and be like a top level guy immediately.
And he's already proven himself in the lower ranks. I mean, to that point, he's already done well. He's proven that he can at least hang there. As much as we are pinning a lot of hopes on Hakuoho, he's still untested in the top level, and that still gives you just that little bit of doubt.
Absolutely.
Hokuseiho has already shown that like Ichinojo like ability to beat anybody under the right conditions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like on a given day, he's never ever a guy that I would say has no chance of winning this match. So yeah, I don't know. I'd put Hokuseiho up there with Hakuoho, but yeah, those 2 guys are the standouts for me.
Yeah. Do you have any different thoughts, Fleric?
No, I was just going to mention that you actually changed my mind, Jake. I was originally going to say Hakuoho, but the Hokuseiho, like, he is hot stuff and he has a little bit more experience under him. I think he is probably the number 1 in my mind now.
Yeah, I can definitely be swayed that way. These were it sounds like for all of us, these were our top 2, because Hokuseiho was my number 2. And yeah, Hokuseiho, we've seen it on paper. Or we haven't seen it on paper. We've seen it live and in action.
We've seen it
right now.
We've seen it on the TV.
Right now, Hakuoho is still kind of all potential. We haven't seen it. Giving Hokuseiho that bump makes a lot of sense to me. And then it's a steep drop off a cliff for that, but I'm curious, who did you guys have at like number 3 for the next potential one?
My next grouping here, I would have to put Keen Bozan, because I know that we did see him against the top ranked guys, and he kind of got wrecked.
Yeah,
but similar to Hokuseiho, I feel like there really isn't that much he's got to change in order to make it work. And just on pure potential, this is probably where I think Gonoyama is. For me, Gonoyama is also in the second tier with Keen Bozan. But yeah, that Gonoyama, Shonan Naomi, and also Hakuoho, of course, I just haven't seen enough to really trust them to push them any higher.
See, I would flip that, Jake. I would say Gono Yama would have my shot for number 3, then Kimbozan, followed by Shonan Naomi.
Okay.
I think that's
would
the
you
record
agree
that I
with
would
that,
go with
like
that.
as the rough tier is
Yeah,
like
the rough
those
tier.
next three guys,
Yeah.
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I-
It's oh, good.
No, you finish your thought, please.
Oh no, it's just with Kimbozan, as much as he got crushed, we've seen that happen before, but I don't know. I just feel something a little bit more from Gono Yama, which is why I rank him ahead of Kimbozan.
Sure.
I think I'm letting recency bias play too much of a role with Keen Bozan because I probably penalized him too much. I had him like number 7 out of 8.
Jeez. Okay.
No, wait. Who was your 8? Who's 8 of 8 here?
Koto Shoho was my
Okay,
number
thank
8.
you. You got that one right at least.
I thought there was only 7. Who's
I
8?
added
Wait,
Koto
what?
Shoho in late.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't realize he was only 23, but yeah, if
Yeah.
Considering his age, yeah, absolutely, he's got to be in this
Show.
discussion.
My next tier, I had Shonan Naomi over Gono Yama just because we both seen the same amount of those guys in the top division, which is 0. And Shonan Naumi's style of sumo is more likely to land you an Ozeki rank than Gono Yama, that pusher thruster style.
Okay.
So for that reason, I had Shonan Naomi as like my number 3. And I think the fact that I've seen like Oho, Hira Umi, Kimbozan, Koto Shoho in the top division kind of hurts them because
Agreed.
I've seen them take losses right now. Gono Yama and Shonan Naomi, they're all potential. It could all be amazing right now. So I probably have them ranked a little too high.
Also,
just
I hear
because I've
Gono
seen
Yama steals candy from babies.
Yeah,
That
confirmed.
monster.
Absolutely.
All right, I think I'm going a little bit different from all you guys.
Yeah.
Like you're saying like the history is like having history, seeing the losses is actually kind of negative to you. And I know like
I
the
think
shiny, I know the
think-
shiny young person, like just you don't know the potential of this person is exciting, but it's like
Mhm.
also equally just like as a double-edged sword. And this is like, so I'm kind of going a little bit on this next tier, going more towards experience, like they've kind of been here for a little bit longer,
Mhm.
rather than these people. This is their first time in the Makiuchi division. They can easily hit a wall and not do well. So it's like I was gonna actually go with Oho with my next one, but I think I'm gonna change it because I guess Koto Shoho is actually in this
Mhm.
list of people.
Yeah.
So he has a Junior show. So I'm actually gonna go with Koto Shoho as
Okay.
my number 3 now.
Hmm,
Because like the
okay.
experience, like Gono Yama, Kimbozan's only 3. Like we don't know what's going on, but he's still Kimbozan. Oh, he's 26, so a little bit less potential in age. So it's like a little bit further down. But I'm
But
going
who's
with the
counting?
experience.
As Ryan said, who's counting really?
Yeah.
Age
But
is
I'm
just
going
a number.
my next handful of picks on my second tier is actually going to be more experience and age. So I'm going with Koto Shoho for my number 3.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so I think kind of in that conversation, rounding out our like top 5 in no particular order, Gono Yama, Shonan Umi, Kimbozan, Koto Shoho were kind of the ones we were talking about. So the ones that kind of weren't included on that list were Oho and Hira Umi.
That's my number 4 and 5.
Yeah, so I guess for the rest of us,
Okay.
Jake, you're
No,
muted.
they're like that we didn't talk about.
I just said thanks, Fleric, for throwing a wrench in it then.
I was gonna say, well, I feel like we went from 3 and then we're jumping to 5. That's,
Well, yeah, I guess
Well-
maybe it would have been better to frame this as just like which groupings would you
Yeah.
put there? Because like we all kind of agreed Hokuseiho, Hakuoho, not necessarily in that order, but like that's kind of the top 2 right now. And then we had kind of the second tier, but none of us are really thinking, well, other than Fleric now. Hira Umi isn't lighting any fires in our bellies as far as getting excited about him. Koto Shoho,
I put Hira Umi ahead of Keen Bozan in my rankings just because that one person who said like Keen Bozan's like technique just isn't polished, and I really feel like we've seen that in the top division and it worked really well. Like he was able to overcome that in the lower ranks, but then it was really exposed in the higher ranks. I just feel like Hira Umi's style of sumo is going to be, it's more clean than Keen Bozan at this point in time. Hira Umi's 3 years younger than Keen Bozan. So I think Hira Umi might have more potential than Keen Bozan to go higher.
yeah. My last like kind of thing to say about Oho and Hira Umi is these are both non-college kids and like they're still young at 23. And so they've been doing like the slow rise the entire time. And granted, we've seen some losses and some bad looks. They're not being pretty good. But look at Oho. He was like almost like being kicked out of Makuuchi for a long time when he first got in here. But now he's like solidly mid Banzuke. So it's like
Yeah.
the slow rise
Fair,
is still very
fair.
much potential for him. And Hirodomi, I don't have his stuff up as much, but it's still 6 Basho. Like he's mid Banzuke. So that's saying something like as you get age and get better, I think you're seeing that slow progress from these people a lot more.
Like we were talking about, I'm pretty sure it was just this last Basho where Ryan was writing off Oho. It's like, I've seen
It
what
was
he
like
can
2
do.
Bashos ago.
Yeah, but it was like, I've seen what he can do. He's not doing it for me. And it's like, well, yeah, man, because he's still learning. He's still in the developmental phase that like these college kids have already gone through when they make their debut.
Right.
And Oho is higher ranked than a lot of them. So yeah, I mean, I think that I just think it's certainly still Oho is in a vacuum, like if you take away all the other factors and stuff like that, still on a very hot prospect kind of run here. So
Where did you have him on your list, Jake?
I had him just I don't know. It's hard because I'm not really down on any of these guys, but
Yeah,
I'd probably put him
right.
in like roughly 6th, maybe.
Mhm.
I had
That's
a 5
where I
on my
had him.
list, so who's really down on Oho?
Me apparently, but like I think Gonoyama and Shonan no Umi kind of maybe a little recency bias that I'm expecting them to hit the ground running a lot more. But Oho's already at what, 6? Yeah, Maegashira 6. He's clearly doing fine.
Mhm.
I will say I think for the excitement level, these young people who just entered the division, my excitement's off the fucking chart for that. Like Gonoyama, Kim Bozan still is third Basho in Makuuchi. You can still just like figure something out and like hit it out of the park. Like there's super excitement about these young people.
Yeah.
So like I can't wait to see more matches from them.
I will say I have a very distinct memory of a period where us as a group were all like, Asanoyama had his chance in the upper ranks of Maegashira, but it's just not happening. So yeah, this guy, we shouldn't really think about this guy too much more.
The more we watch
Obviously
sumo,
not.
the more we figure out how it works.
The more
Oh,
we figure
yes.
out that Kim Bozan is not like complete damaged goods here, right? Like he
Right.
got his first shot at the Joy, got his
Mhm.
butt kicked, didn't get kicked down that far. He'll be right back up there. It'll happen. He's still
Mhm.
super young.
All right. Let's move on to some more established Rikishi at that point, and those are our 2 Ozeki. We have Takakeisho coming off a winning record, but in somewhat controversial fashion. Jesus, as he had to reach deep into his bag of tricks to get to that 8 wins as he was fighting through a knee injury. So coming off of that performance in Natsu, what are our expectations of Takakeisho this Basho, Flarek?
It's very similar to before. If he's healthy, he's gonna do well. It's hard to say. My expectations are if he enters the Basho, he's gonna be in the Yusha race and he's gonna do some upsets. He's gonna be the person to beat. So he's proven himself to be quite good. So I think all health assuming good, I think he's gonna be really good and someone to watch out for.
Yeah, this spring has made me almost completely forget that he like just won a U show in January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I looked up, it was like, man, it's been forever since. Oh wait, no, never mind. It was like yesterday. No, it's just like Terunofuji. I feel like Takakeisho is basically a Yokozuna when it comes to prognosticating. It's like, is he healthy or not? Because if he is, he's likely to be in the race. If he's not, whatever, we'll see him for 3 days.
Right.
And then what about our new Ozeki, Kirishima? Following a whirlwind of travel and press that any Ozeki gets after his promotion, we've heard that it's tough to follow up your Ozeki promotion with a good performance at the Ozeki rank. I feel like in recent times that hasn't necessarily been the case. Mitake Yumi had 11 wins after his Ozeki promotion. I think Terunofuji won a Yusho after his Ozeki promotion. I don't know that that's necessarily the case anymore. But Mac, what are your expectations for Kirishima now that he has reached that Ozeki level? He might not be pushing as hard as he was when he was fighting to get there.
I'm still expecting a really good performance from Kirishima with this. I mean, now that he's got it all out of his system, he's partied, he's sipped the champagne from the giant cup. He's doing fantastic. He's had the big fish. I mean, literally, he better have finished it all by now. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyway, I'm thinking an 11-4 out of him for this tournament.
Heck yeah.
So let's jump into our pick a rickshaw segment.
Hey, I'm sorry, I was muted. I had a crummy joke to make about Kirishima. That
Absolutely.
He's still young. He's only 27, which by Ryan's math is basically 25. I've been muting myself because my asshole neighbors decided that it's fireworks time. So
same here.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I don't know
that's
if
why
it's
I've been
coming
looking
through
up
on the
going,
mic, but it is
Yep.
deafening over here. It's like a freaking war zone.
Mhm.
So let's jump to our pick a rickshaw segment, which we're gonna extend to the Komusubi rank for the first time ever. Because I don't really think there's a whole lot to say about our current Komusubi, Kotonowaka and Abi. They've been doing their thing, and they're probably gonna continue doing their thing. But Mac,
All right.
any rickshaw that you want to shine a spotlight on that is between the ranks of Komusubi and Maegashira 3?
Indeed, I do. It is the enigma that is Nishikigi, or the wrestler formerly known as Nishikigi, could be Ryan's Bane / Superman, because holy crap, looking back at his record, I was like, okay, he wasn't that great. Oh no, like what is going on here? So no, actually, I'm expecting a 6 and 9 from him at this point. I'm expecting a Makikoshi, but it depends. Will he keep his glasses on or take them off? Who knows?
It's like one of the most mind-blowing 9 and 6s ever.
Exactly.
With 8
Who
straight
does
wins.
that?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's who his 8 straight wins were against, because he got Wakamoto Haru, he beat Takakeisho,
Mhm.
beat Kotonowaka, Shodai, he beat 4 Sanyaku in that stretch.
Absolute nonsense.
For me, I'm taking the ranks of Maegashira 4 through Maegashira 7, and I can't help myself. I've got 2 rickshaw I want to talk about briefly. We haven't brought up the name Asanoyama yet, which we probably
It's
should.
wild.
Probably.
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, well, no, hey, that just gives you the level of hype that this tournament's got.
Yeah, and Asanoyama's part of that upward momentum. He might not be young, but he's definitely going to be fighting for that Ozeki rank in the near future. Maybe if he does well enough in this Basho, he could turn this Maegashira 4 Basho as part of his Ozeki run. But he is on the fringes of the joy. We should be expecting him to face a full Sanyaku schedule. So I think after this Basho, we're really going to have a true idea of where Asanoyama is at right now, and if he does have what it takes to make it back to Ozeki. If he gets another 12-11 wins here, then absolutely there should be no reason he can't keep this momentum going forward to get re-promoted to Ozeki, but maybe he does run into a little bit of a wall in Terunofuji, who he's never beat. We've got 3 Sekiwake who are all going to be fighting tooth and nail to get promoted to Ozeki, and they're all going to be desperate to get wins over Asanoyama. So very curious to see how Asanoyama does in this Basho.
All right, friends. Quick question, gut check. Do
Ooh.
we think Asanoyama is he's going to be Ozeki again? I will say within a year, 6 Bashos.
From now.
Yeah, from now, sure.
Okay.
Ask me again after this Basho?
No, gut check. Gut check.
Absolutely
We
not.
don't have data. We don't have the data.
all right,
we
gut
just
check.
have our guts.
Guts.
I will start off with this. I'm going to say yes. I think
Yep,
so.
I'm right there with you, Flair. Yes.
I think he's maybe a little bit out of practice, but like the people kind of on the edge who might be getting up there again, I think eventually he's going to win them out with just his sexy Adonis body. I'm sorry, I have a little bit of
Man crush.
yeah. Well, no. I was saying my punishment, which is going to be delayed into another episode of Sumo Erotica. I have some weird thoughts about Richie's bodies at the moment.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
I'll agree with you, Fleric. I think that I really think that the storyline, once we sort out the 3 Sekiwake right now, which of them are going to be Ozeki or not, I think the next storyline or one of the next storylines is, will Asanoyama be able to clear that barrier again on his way up?
I'm gonna say my gut says no, not in a year's time. I think
Okay.
the field is stronger now than when he initially made his Ozeki run. We've got Yokozuna Terunofuji, at least for the time being. Maybe in a year from now, we don't have Yokozuna Terunofuji. But at the top, we've still got Taka Keisho, who was the only Ozeki when Asanoyama was promoted to Ozeki. But then joining Asanoyama in the Sanyaku ranks was Shodai, Hokuto Fuji, and Endo. Whereas right now in the Sanyaku ranks, we have Kirishima, Hoshoryu, Wakamoto Haru, Daisho, Kotonowaka's no pushover. Abi's a consistent threat there. I just think there's a lot more chances for losses at the top of the Basho right now for Asanoyama, who I think barely squeaked by to get an Ozeki promotion with 11, 10, and 11, I believe, were his records during his Ozeki run.
You're correct.
So for me, my gut says no. I think the top of the Bansuke is better, and he's just going to have more opportunities to pick up losses.
There's definitely a little bit of hindsight in there that, like, you know, maybe by this time in 2 years, like Wakamoto Haru is somebody that we're like, yeah, whatever, he was nothing. But yeah, I get your point. I definitely do think that, like, I don't know whether it's successful or not. I really do hope that storyline happens where it's kind of like the bad boy jilted wrestler of the last generation, kind of like, will he succeed or not over the current generation? Could be fun from like a storyline following perspective.
Yeah. I would say I definitely agree with you, Ryan, that I do think the talent at the top is really good and it's very, very close. To me, the question is whether or not he's going to rise up to it and like meet it and surpass it. And my guts just tell me, yeah, he's going to make it happen.
There you go.
And the other Rishi I wanted to make sure we talked about.
Mac. I want to know about Mac.
Oh no, I agreed right with you, Fleric. When you were going off about that, when you said you'd start off with it, I was like, yes, I agree with you, Fleric.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All good.
I want to make sure we talk about Takayasu, because Takayasu is in that sweet spot for Takayasu, the Maegashira 7 rank, where he could very easily put himself in the Yusho race to break all of our hearts once again. I will say
prime spot for a heartbreak.
I will say pulling out of 2 out of the last 3 Basho does make me really nervous for him, that maybe the health just
definitely
isn't quite there to really put it together. But we do need to bring it up because it is a very real possibility that Takayasu is breaking a lot of people's hearts this upcoming Basho.
Oh yeah, we could totally start with 10 straight wins and then blow it again, like that kind of thing for sure.
Yep. Oof. Fleric, any Rikishi between the ranks of Maegashira 8 and Maegashira 12 that you want to highlight that we might not have talked about yet?
Yeah, I had a couple written down. One we already talked about, Kim Bozan. Like we say, this is his 3rd Basho, and he's had very wide swings. He had like an 11-4 to start off with the Kanto show, and then he had a 4-11 up in the Joy. So now he's mid Bansuke. I'm very curious to see how he's going to do. And the other one is Kotoeko. Speaking of my mind's in a weird spot right now.
That's right. He's one of your other subjects for your creative writing assignment.
Yeah,
exactly. When I demanded Matt give me a box of characters to use, little did I know that Kotoeko I know nothing about this guy other than does pretty good sumo.
You asked for this box.
I did.
Sure did.
This is a situation of my own creation.
Fleric, you mentioned that you're not quite done with this erotica. Could I inquire, when did you start writing this erotica?
Oh, when? Okay.
That's so mean.
Yeah, it's very mean. But it was very, very, very fair. I will give you that. Okay. This page was created. This page, my initial brainstorming was created in 2013, where I wrote down the names of Rikishi. Not to that, May of 13th, where I wrote down the names
May
of Rikishi
13th.
that I was supposed to use.
Okay.
My edit after that might have been like a couple hours before now.
Yeah, Ryan was about to ask, how does that coincide with me asking you if you had it pre-recorded or if you were going to read it live?
Yeah, it was, I was like, oh yeah, I should probably do that.
Yeah.
And then a lot of my free time just kind of got eaten up by some other stuff. And so I did not have nearly as much as I wanted. And then I came up against Kotoeko to bring it back to high-laying rikishi between Mike Shear 8 and Mike Shear 12.
Beautifully
We
done.
need to know more about this guy, other than I know he's the same age as Ura and Tobizaru, the people that are going to be subjects of erotica sometime soon. But he was one who just entered sumo right away out of high school, while the other two are college kids. So that's all I know. I'm going to be watching for anything, any kind of tell, any kind of figure out what his kinks are. Show
Any
me your
sort
stuff,
of eroticism.
Kotoeko.
Show
Yeah.
me what
Show me
you
yourself.
got.
Show me your stuff.
me what you
And
got.
anyone who wants to join me on this journey, feel free.
Feel free to send Fleric erotic ideas about Kotoeko that he can include in his erotica.
Yikes.
Let's
Well,
go.
I'm going to move on immediately from that. I was so my range here, my Gashira 13 to 17 sucks. Because we already covered
did cover a
We
lot
already
of
covered the
Gonoyama.
exciting ones.
Well, yeah, we already covered the exciting ones. Gonoyama, Koto Shoho, Shonanumi, Hakuoho. Excellent prospects here. And then everything else is depressing. Aoyama, Endo, Ryuden, Terunofuji are all on their way out. They're slow decline here. And I mean, Endo is kind of a bit of an outlier. Well, now maybe he and Ryuden are both 32. Yeah, okay. Either way, Endo, for whatever reason, doesn't feel old to me. But regardless, all four of those guys are definitely sliding down the Bansuke as a general trend. Sure, they definitely have some stuff left in the tank, but they are on their way out. And it's kind of depressing because I have like generally positive opinions of 3 of the 4 of them. And yeah, it's just kind of sad watching them on their way out. But yeah, this range, like we already talked about, excellent prospects. So I do expect the bottom of the Bansuke to be a little bit of a bloodbath.
Oof.
It'll be
Our
one of those
newcomers might be having a good time.
It'll be like, that one match at WrestleMania where the legend has to get his ass beat and lose on his way out on retirement. And it's like, yeah, it was nice to see the prospect get the rub, but like, did you have to beat him that bad? I liked that guy. So yeah, that's kind of what the bottom of the Bansuke looks like to me.
All right. Well, real quick touch on some of the things happening down in Juryo. Juryo's getting less and less exciting as we're seeing more and more of these prospects pop up in the top division. But there is an exciting debut in Juryo, and that is Shishi is making his Sekitori debut. I believe he will be the first Sekitori from Ukraine. And he'll be the only, with the absence now of Tochinoshin, he'll be the only European in the Sekitori ranks. So we had...
Aoyama.
Yeah, but that...
But I didn't want to count him.
Yeah, that kind of blows up my whole point. So he'll be the second European currently in the Sekitori ranks.
But there used to be more.
Yeah, there used to be more, damn it.
Also, Taiho, I'm pretty sure, was half Ukrainian.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Kin Bozan's from Kazakhstan.
You know what, you guys?
Also
if
not
you
in
just
Europe.
want to... Aha!
Oh, is that Asia? Just barely?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Is it Georgia, Europe?
Yeah, and we already mentioned Tochinoshin.
He's gone.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that's kind of like roughly kind of area. My geography might be
The
killing me right
border
now.
let Ryan
between
keep going
Europe and Asia is fairly nebulous. I'm pretty sure you could just pick a side and you're not wrong.
I'm pretty sure you can be wrong. Go on, though.
There's another Rikishi that made his debut in the Makushita ranks. That is the former Kawazoe, now going as Kiho, is going to be making his debut in Juryo. He is another one of the Miyagino special tiny guys, alongside like Enho and unfortunately the now retired Ishiura. He's only 166 centimeters and 110 kilograms. I don't have the conversions off the top of my head, so I don't know in English
not very
how...
small.
Yeah. I don't know in English how small he is, but it's pretty small compared to the rest of the Rikishi. So he's making his Sekitori debut. And then the other red hot prospect of like OGI slash Hakuoho status.
Real quick, that is shorter than Enho.
Okay.
Only by like an inch, but it is shorter than Enho. That is a tiny man
All
for
right.
sumo.
But yeah, the other red hot prospect kind of on the same level of Hakuoho is Ono Sato, who debuted at Makushita 10 the last Basho. He went 6-1. He's up at Makushita 3. So he is well within the promotion zone to make it up to Juryo next Basho. I don't quite know the math, but I would assume 5 wins should guarantee him promotion up to Juryo. So hopefully Ono Sato can live up to his promise and make it up to the Juryo division here shortly. But with that, we're going to take a quick break. If you enjoy the Grand Sumo Breakdown podcast, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast listening service.
You can find us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just search for Grand Sumo Breakdown.
Support the show on Patreon and check out our blog, grandsumobreakdown.wordpress.com.
If you have any questions, comments, or corrections, drop us a line at grandsumobreakdown@gmail.com or give us a call at 805-613-7866. That's 805-613-SUMO.
Also, watch us on YouTube.
Welcome back. We generally like to start our second segment of our preview episodes talking about the GSB belt, but I don't want to because it makes me sad.
Yep.
But this has made us sad for
obligated.
But
But
contractually
Ryan,
obligated.
this has made us sad for a long time now.
This has
And
made
it's
us
gonna
sad
keep
for like
making us sad.
yeah. But no, seriously, this belt. Anyways, though, on our preview episodes, we like to do a quick overview of what the GSB belt is. This is the second iteration of the belt, but what we do is at an arbitrary time, we decide the first match of this Basho is for the GSB belt. And we
Not
did
the
that-
first Makuuchi match, the very
Just
first match
very
of the bottom
first match.
division.
very bottom division. So for this one, it was Byakuen versus Shonan Zakura back in Nagoya of 2021 is when we started this belt. And then Byakuen won, which means he keeps the belt until somebody beats him, which happened immediately. Oh my God, he was beaten by Kiryuko.
Oh wow, Kiryuko's
Yeah, okay. So
multi-time
we'll get there.
champ.
We'll get there in a second. But so whoever wins gets the belt until they are beaten, and then the belt gets it passed up the hands as it goes up the rankings. And this iteration of the belt, the second iteration of the belt, has been stuck for like a year and a half in the same damn place
Mhm.
because the belt keeps almost getting to Juryo and then getting kicked down the rankings a little bit. So this most recent time, the belt was on Shishi, who was going to get promoted to Juryo. We already knew he was going to get promoted. But then he loses this second to last match. Yeah, super frustrating. So he lost that second to last match to a guy that was lower in the rankings, that was too low in the rankings to get promoted to Juryo. So thus the belt stays in Makushita again. And this time, Shishi was beaten by Kiryuko. So now that it has come full circle, the belt has waited at the top of Makushita for Kiryuko. I guess that's what that means, is now that it was waiting long enough, the belt has come full circle, and Kiryuko will be the one to take the belt into the higher division finally.
Please.
For reference, when we were at the same number of matches, as this belt has gone through, 86, our prior attempt at the belt had made it to Makushita 2. So, sorry, excuse me.
That's this
Maegashira
one.
2.
Maegashira
to
2.
Maegashira 2 after 86 match. No, I'm sorry. Komusubi 2, even better.
Oh, even better.
So, yeah, we watched this belt get all the way to the top. And when it hit Yokozuna, that's when we started the whole thing over. We just decided, let's just do another iteration. Little did we know that it would be misery and pain and torment forever.
Yeah.
So, Kiryuko, I swear to God, this is. I will come over there to Japan.
I think
will find
our
you.
our two hopes for this Basho to get it up, because I don't think we can count on another 7-0 from Kiryuko to bring it up.
Unlikely. So he'll probably drop it to someone. Yeah.
We need one absence, or at least just an odd number of absences between Makuuchi and Juryo, so that we have matches between the top Makushita Rikishi and the lower Juryo Rikishi. Kiryuko is number 4 on that list to face a Juryo Rikishi.
Right.
So we need him to either lose that match or it to just remain the winner of the Makusha Yusho needs to be in the top 15
Mhm.
ranks, and it'd be really cool if it was Ono Sato went 7-0 and brought it up to the top division. That
would be very cool.
That would be
or
cool.
if Kiryuko loses it to somebody else in this neighborhood, like Enho.
And Eno brought it up. That'd be neat.
Ooh,
There you
that'd be
go.
nice.
Former GSB belt holder Tochi Musashi. There's
yeah.
a handful of decent guys up here that could potentially bring it, but inevitably he's going to lose it to Makushita 41 Onojo, and then boom, Onojo
Oh,
becomes
no.
some crap like that. This is just my life now. So I regret starting the GSB belt. But for those few of you who follow it on Twitter, yep, this is where we're looking. You're starting with Kiryuko. That's the name to watch for.
Yeah. What we don't regret is the Champ Chump prediction series, because that's brought you such great hits as Ryan's rendition of Defying Gravity or Jake's parody of the Lord of the Rings Council of Elrond scene. Never regret the Champ Chump prediction series, and why not get started
I
with
have a few
our
times.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Some of those were really hard.
Yeah. Fair. Let's start off our champ predictions with Fleric, who lost last time, and gives him the right to pick the first champ.
Yes, indeed. I've learned since last Basho. I've become a better person. I will learn from my mistakes. And from that, I'm going to pick Terunofuji, the highest person on the Bansuke, as my first pick.
That's
Terunofuji.
always a pretty good strategy.
That's a
Yes.
good one.
Interesting.
For some reason, I didn't decide to do it last time.
And I
This-
thank you for it.
This is going to be interesting, and I guarantee a first. But with the second pick in the draft, I'm going to pick the lowest guy in the Bansuke.
Oh,
Absolute dead last Hakuoho,
Oh my!
Wow.
the artist
I was
formerly known as
not
Ochi.
expecting that.
I
I-
like the balls, and you took that decision away from me because I was considering it, and I thank you for that.
You know what? I feel like this is you know what? It's got to be a pick with your heart kind of Basho is where I'm feeling. I'm the complete opposite of Fleric, who
Mhm.
picked with his head and obviously picked the opposite guy on the Bansuke. So
Last Basho was the one with my heart. And that was Daisho.
and you lost.
And
so what does that mean?
I was
going
gonna
to
say, watch out, Jake. Watch out.
Oh no!
I'm up next, and for the first time ever, I had written out like my top 3, and I'm going against my rankings because my number 3 was Hoshoryu, and I'm gonna go with Hoshoryu here, even though my number 2 was available in Kirishima, just because Hoshoryu has that chip on his shoulder. He's got that drive, that forward momentum to get the Ozeki rank. Kirishima's got the Ozeki rank. Not that I think Kirishima's going to have a bad Basho by any means. I just think Hoshoryu is more motivated this time to do better, and so I'm going to pick him as my champ.
He's hungry. He wants it.
He's hungry.
Yeah. It looks like he got the exact same record as him last Basho. So
Well, yeah, but he's hungrier this time. They were both
Okay.
hungry last time.
yeah.
Yeah. You got to talk about relative hunger, not absolute hunger.
This is
All right.
hard because I was not expecting that. I was waiting for Hoshoryu to fall to me. I'm like, oh, but wait, I am torn.
Daisho's still
torn
there.
between. No, not
Daisho's still
Daisho.
there.
No, no, Fleric.
Hira de Umi.
No, God, no.
Tsurugisho is pretty high up there.
Aoyama, he's due for an 11-4.
Who we got,
I'll
Mac?
do it for the excitement.
Ooh,
Wakamoto Haru.
ooh, I like it.
Ooh.
All right.
I'll do
spicy.
it for the excitement. I'm like,
Fair.
all right, you know what? Why not make this fun?
You know, this is just gonna make Mac hate Wakamoto Haru because
I already hate the guy. So
Mac
yes.
has a very bad history with Wakamoto Haru in the Champ Chump prediction series.
I do.
So I now am mad because I'm simultaneously want Wakamoto Haru to be promoted to Ozeki, but I also want him to just bite Mac in the ass and make him lose.
It
the
would be
series.
fitting. It would honestly be fitting at this
I
point.
wonder if there's a way that we can make both happen. Mac needs to very poorly pick his chump.
Yeah.
And Wakamoto Haru needs to get like the bare minimum. Yeah, it's still
The
possible.
bare
It's
minimum.
mathematically
Quick,
possible.
Mac, pick Kirishima to be your chump.
Oh God, no. For my chump though, we have discussed him earlier. So I think he's been over promoted. Granted, he's been there for a little while. Mr. Oho, I think you're a little too big for your britches, sir.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. There's no way that Ryan doesn't pick the guy that I'm going for, so I got to pick a different one.
Well, I've got two people. Cards on the table here, and I've had both of them in my top pick for my chump, and they're both available to me right now. It's between Nishikigi and Hira Doumi. Is
Damn
one
it.
of those days.
I freaking knew it. They'd be the exact same two as me.
Yeah. So my reasoning for not Nishikigi, I think, is the chalk pick. He's the easy pick to go with here. Fully in the
Low-hanging
joy.
fruit.
Yeah, he's going to have a very difficult schedule from the outset, and this is a career high rank at 32 years old. Don't have a lot of high hopes for him. But the second week of that last Basho has me shook.
I knew you'd feel about that.
And he was my chump last time. But
There's just that little voice in your head that's like, he's done it
He
before.
could do it
that son of a
again.
bitch.
Yeah.
Jake, I will give you Hira Doumi. Nishikigi's going to do right by me this time. I'm taking Nishikigi.
Sick.
Okay.
All right. Ryan's going to lose. Okay. I said Hiradoumi, but then I remembered that I'd already teased that Tsurugisho's way too high.
Yes.
That's another
I was thinking about
promising
him.
one. Yeah.
He was fourth on my list, even though I'm picking second.
Yeah, there's a handful of guys like Bushozan is calling out to me a little bit. I feel like he is a gatekeeper at best and shouldn't be up here. There's a handful of older guys like maybe Sadano Umi or Miyogiryu that have the possibility of a complete collapse. I do think I got to go with Hiradoumi though. He's too young, too fresh. Haven't seen enough of him. I think that's where I got to go.
Wow. That's all I gotta say about that.
Uh-oh.
Ooh. Is
No,
Flick,
I-
are you getting your guy?
Yeah, I am getting my guy. I'm gonna go run it back with Midori Fuji again. Because he's
Ooh.
still in the joy, like 9-6. There's no saying like he won't get a very similar record. And here Doomi's like just outside of it, and like 9-6. I don't know. We'll see. I feel like he's still too much of a wild card to me. But I'll go with I'll respect your choice because it might hopefully win me this Basho, this prediction. I'll go with Midori Fuji as my jump.
What
Good move,
an
sir.
upset for our champs that no Ozeki was selected. I wonder how many times that has happened, if ever.
We don't trust Takakeisho and Kirishima after the classic Ozeki Party Too Hard promotion kind of
Yep.
deal.
I feel
See.
like Jake and Mac were memeing with their picks a little bit.
A little, not a lot though.
Meh.
I would say with Jake, when you said like it was someone looked to the bottom of the bond scale, I thought you were gonna go with Endo.
Too hurt.
Like, yeah, well, he was like he's a joy mainstay, and he was obviously injured last Basho. He's at the bottom. Like he's obviously gonna
not-
do quite well.
Take a look at the last couple of years of his record. I don't think he's coming back up.
Oh, I think he is.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Want to do a prediction
Do you
point on
wanna-
this?
Ooh, I like
Oh,
Bet on no.
And Endo?
this. Jake,
Terrible
you'd be
idea.
betting against
Jake,
Endo.
you'd be betting against him.
No, I'm not doing that.
Just a
Oh,
flat
okay.
Kachikoshi line?
No,
Interesting.
no, I'm gonna wet blanket this one.
Worst. All right. So obviously we don't have Flaric's punishment available. I think we're going to push that until the Nagoya recap. I don't think we'll do it on the midway. This way, Mac will be able to experience it as Mac
Right.
will be gone for the midway. Also,
Mhm.
just
Oh yeah.
midway is irrelevant after a day or two, so it doesn't get as many
Also, yes.
views as the recap. So
In
we'll
order
just
to
do
put
it
as
on the
many
more
people as possible through this, we
make
should
them more
probably do it on the
uncomfortable.
recap.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Rod Lunsford, I know you do not like the sumo erotica. You've still got a few more weeks.
We'll give you the
before-
heads up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't
Disclaimer.
worry.
Anyways, though, the punishment, though, we have decided it's time. It's been long enough. It is time for a sumo song parody.
Mhm.
Can I go back
so
on my pick? I don't feel so good.
Absolutely not.
Oh, crap.
I feel like I'm very possibly on the way to doing my second sumo-themed Kesha song. It's very possible. But no, it is time for the sumo song parody where the loser will have to rewrite the lyrics and sing the song of the winner's choice themed around sumo. I'm really worried that, either, Kesha or the one that's been looming, the elephant in the room is the 9-minute rendition of Paradise by the Yusho Lights.
We've talked
Oh,
about we
we
have
teased
thrown that
that.
one out
We
there.
have teased that.
It's destiny at this point. It's very possibly gonna happen. But yeah, that's gonna be the punishment this time. Flaric's punishment from May will be on our recap. And then the song itself will be on the preview for next Basho.
Unless Fleric also
Unless
loses
it's Fleric
this one.
and he waits
In
until
which
2 hours
case.
ahead of time. So no
Just
promises,
wait and see.
but that's the plan.
Just wait and see. Yeah.
So we have our typical bold predictions thread on Twitter. If you would like the chance to win a Grand Sumo Breakdown t-shirt, send us your bold predictions, send us your crazy predictions. Whoever turns out to be the most correct or gets the wildest thing correct can win a free Grand Sumo Breakdown t-shirt. So look us up on Twitter, find that thread, and put your prediction in there. It's always a fun time there. We've also got a couple of questions from our patrons. Our first one coming from new patron Martha M, asking, if you could be any Oyakata, who would you be and why? I will start off. I've got
What's a good question?
I feel like we got 2 easy answers and one of them's better than the other.
I have 2 answers, and my first answer is probably the correct answer, and it's obviously I would want to be Miyagi no Oyakata. You've
Former
got
Hakuoho. He's
one-
got
Former
a
Hakuoho.
bunch of prospects right
one, you're Hakuoho.
now.
Bingo.
Done.
Point made.
But then you have the top 2 Grand Sumo Breakdown prospects in Hokuseiho and Hakuoho in your stable that promise to bring you success for many years to come. But that could be a lot of hard work. There's a lot of people in a stable, a lot of people you got to feed and keep track of and help coach. If you're if you're looking for kind of the easy side of things, you could also be Nishikido Oyakata, who has 2 Rikishi in his stable. One is Mitoryu, and one is a guy that just debuted like down in Jonokuchi or Jonidan. So if you're looking for just a nice, easy time of coaching, just real simple, go for Nishikido Oyakata.
See, you surprised me, Ryan. I was assuming you'd go with the Takekuma Oyakata.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know about the Warrior Nook before I prepared this answer.
you have had ample time to change your mind.
He's also not gonna pick Goedo. Like,
Also,
yeah.
yes.
Coach my mortal nemesis Gonoyama? How could you ever think I would do such a thing?
My
The name.
answer, I think when I said there were 2 easy answers, the other one is Nishinoseki, former Kisano Sato, who's also absolute prospect magnet. He's the guy that picked up Ono Sato. My pick for like the lazy easy road, I'm pretty sure I have the right one, and I would love it if any listeners could correct me. But there's a stable that has a reputation for accepting anybody who wants to try sumo, and just
That
like
was
whatever,
Shonan
just-
Zakura's.
I think
stable,
it's
I believe?
Shikihide. I
That
think
sounds
that's
right.
the one.
That sounds right.
Their highest ranked guy is Sandanme 58, and there's like a dozen or 2 guys that are all in like the bottom 3 divisions. And I'm pretty sure that's the one. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, please. But like the gist was like, you want to try sumo? Like, sure, come on over. Like, let's hang out. Let's do some Shiko. Yeah. And honestly, there's a chance that that's really freaking fun.
Yeah.
There's a chance that that's maybe I'm interpreting it wrong from the outside, but maybe that could be pretty rad to just like hang out and like pursue a fun sport, even if you're not like a 6-foot tall behemoth like a lot of these top prospects we've been talking about. Maybe you're just some dude who wants to give it a shot for a couple of years. That could be fun.
Yeah, I did confirm that Shonan Zakura was a part of the Shikihide stable, which I believe is the one. It's just like, hey, come on, try sumo.
Come on, give it a shot.
Any other
Mac or
answers?
Fleric?
Ooh, for me, I would do the Tatsunami Bea. Just for that one, just because they've got Hoshoryu and Meisei, and then you've also got Aqua. So you've got the 2 guys that are serious, and then you've got the memes.
And pay all those medical bills for when he lands on his head over and over again?
He provides entertainment
And leg trips.
and leg trips.
Trips for days.
But no, I think that would be a lot of fun to be an Oyakata for that one, especially watching Hoshoryu and Meisei rise.
I've always liked Naruto, Heya, and the Oyakata. I guess to beat that guy around a bunch of kids, they're on their way on the way up. That would be pretty fun. So I'll go with Naruto.
Who does
can I toss
Naruto
in
have
one
right now?
I think Oshoma, whoever's in Juryo right now.
Yeah, Oshoma. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the highest ranked one. He's coming back from an injury. He had a pretty bad shoulder thing where he was like did really well, but then like he got injured where he kind of got hurt. And like the info I got from someone said like he talked to I think Tamawashi and he says like yeah, kind of learn to live with the pain and deal with the pain is kind of what he said.
one or two Basho going slightly differently. He'd be in that discussion for top prospects. I think
Yeah.
he's nearly there too. If I can toss in one more, it would be Kokonoe. That's the one with all the Chios.
Greatest law
Yes.
firm in all of sumo.
Yeah, the Chio, and Chio law firm.
and Chio.
How many
Yeah.
do we have in the top division anymore? Is it just Chio Shoma?
I think it's just Chiyoshoma. Yeah.
Oh wow,
One.
how the mighty have fallen.
Maru's
it is.
gone.
It is just
Tairyu's
Chiyoshima.
gone.
Yeah, but there's like 5 in Juryo, so they're still doing all right. But Chiyomaru and his social media appearances all seem fun. So I hope that that's a reflection of like their group, that they're all having fun together and stuff. If so, that would be a fun one to be a stable master for.
Yeah, we currently have 4 Chios in the Sekitori ranks. All right, and then we had another question from the King of Toads, asking us about Makushita Bansuke, how it's formed. Is there like a Makushita Joy and all of that? And just going to say, don't have that answer ready. We're going to kind of put that question on hold. I am not an expert on the Makushita Bansuke. I've never really looked that far, so I went to somebody who I know knows a lot more about the Makushita Bansuke than me. That is our Bansuke friend and senpai, Leonid from the Tachi-Ai podcast. So he is doing some legwork for us. And so just a quick thank you to Leonid for the work you're doing for us on that. And we will have a more full and thought out answer for you in an upcoming episode, King of Toads. So stay tuned for that. But before we wrap up, Jake, you are muted for the third goddamn.
I swear to God, the fireworks are like right outside my window. I'm doing you all a favor. Do you want to pop that on the midway, or do you think we should save it for our next Bansuke episode?
We'll see when I get the answer.
Okay, stay tuned.
Actually, you
stay
know what?
tuned,
Stay
my
tuned.
liege of Toads.
Yeah. Bansuke episode makes the most sense, so it'll be a little bit, but the Aki Bansuke prediction, we will have an answer for you.
Sweet.
So Mac, we have mentioned it a few times on this podcast. You are abandoning all of us in the States to head over to Japan for a 2-week period with your wife and a couple of friends.
Yes.
Why don't you tell our listeners what you have planned while you're in Japan?
Well, while I am there, I will be thinking of you guys, actually.
Aw.
Like, I will miss you, absolutely. But while I'm in Japan, I plan on gorging myself on delicious foods, which include Ichiran's ramen, maybe go back to Happy Pancake again, Ryan. We still
that was
thought that
good.
was outstanding. Try and hit up some shabu shabu. Not 100% sure yet. McDonald's, I mean, it's just going to gorge ourselves on food.
I was going to
That's
say, make
first
sure
and
you hit up
foremost.
McDonald's at least 2 or 3 times.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
McDonald's in Japan hits way different. And it's so
But
good.
Oh God,
When-
yeah. It's like
when I'm not in my food coma, we'll be hitting up the Kokuki-Con. We'll be looking at Akihabara for some other things that my wife is wanting to find. I have no idea yet. She's like, we are going there. I'm like, okay, I don't care what we find.
You
then.
don't have to know what you're shopping for in that.
Yeah.
In that area.
I'm just gonna
You just go
just
to
wander for a
Akihabara.
little bit. We'll hit up the Meiji Shrine. We're not going to be climbing Fuji this time. We did that with you guys.
Wise.
We're good on that.
Yeah.
My knees are no younger than the last time we tried that. Now I'm not. I probably wouldn't do that one again.
Yeah, no. But some of the big ones for this one, of course, we're going to be there for day 11 of the tournament in Nagoya. Got our tickets. Very much looking forward to that.
Where
Another
are you
big
going to
one-
be sitting? Do you have good seats or are you kind of up high?
We're up high on this one.
Okay.
We couldn't
Are you-
get ones on the lower bowl, unfortunately.
Are you
Well, just
planning
go
on
early and sit in
Yeah.
the camera side.
I will try. Yes. I got to wake everybody up like, all right, 7:00. Let's go. But the big one for this one is we're going to be hiking the Nakasendo Trail, which is the old postal code going up part of the mountain. So we're going to be hiking part of
Oh
that.
my goodness.
Oh,
That
that's
sounds so fun.
And then 2 days this time at Ryokan. Not 1, 2.
That sounds good for those Fuji knees.
Oh, God, yes. I'm on the wrong side of 30 and they hurt.
Yeah. So I think if Mac's okay with it, I think sometime between this Basho and the Aki Basho, we'll probably just sit down and talk with Mac about his trip to Japan.
Yeah.
His experience back at Dolphin. I think it's Dolphins.
Yep, Dolphin
Prefecture
Stadium.
Arena in
Mhm.
Nagoya. How his day watching sumo went, and just catch up with Mac on how his trip in Japan went. And you'll need to take plenty of pictures for us to post all over the social medias, Mac.
Absolutely. I'll try and get a couple per day. Like we're planning on hitting the Tsukiji fish market as well. Definitely want to get some shots of that.
Awesome.
Make sure to get some kaiten sushi for me.
Oh, yeah. Nope. That's on our list.
Better be.
I don't know if I ever got kaiten sushi while we were there.
Yeah, I
think
have no idea why, but that was the one that spoke to me. Just the way that the conveyor belt just
Mhm.
stupid. Loved it.
I might have done one. We went to like that mall.
Yeah. We
think
were on
they
the
had
top floor of that mall.
Yeah, the mall in
Kaiten
Kyoto.
sushi. Yeah. All right, we'll move on. Just make me want to really
In
want to go
Japan,
back.
we're
to
going to get the
Japan.
bread too. The pan. All the pan.
We've got to wait a few more years until Riley can handle that before we go back. So I'm very jealous of you going back to Japan, Mac. I wish we were joining you.
Yes. Just share all of your Japlans with us.
Okay, fine.
So I know what Mac is most excited for this Basho, and that's being in Japan for the Basho
Yes.
and day 11. But for the rest of us, what are we most excited for this Basho? It's hard to choose.
Ozeki stuff.
Ozeki stuff.
Probably same as last time, but Ozeki stuff for me.
Yep. Part 2.
Hakuoho chasing history for the coveted title of most wins through the first 4 Bashos of his career. The thing everybody's
to be enshrined
tracking.
in history.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to keep track of that as long as it is like feasible. Because if he's like
That's
got
awesome,
it,
yeah.
if he's got it going through like 10, 11 Bashos, it's gonna be really hard to figure out all of that. So
Does it just
hopefully
exponentially increase in complexity as you go on?
yeah. So hopefully actually he like gets hurt on day 1 or 2, pulls out, and then I don't have to worry about it.
Oh no.
No,
That's the worst.
stop.
Haku, oh no.
Yeah, I'm wondering how long until how long that record would go until you start hitting up against Hakuoho where you won everything. It's just impossible to keep the title.
Better yet, he never drops another match, and we never have to do the math again because he's just winning.
Best case scenario.
You're right.
Yes.
Yep. Especially this Basho, please.
15 consecutive years of nothing but Hakuoho victories.
We had Hakuoho. Why not Hakuoho?
Yep. All right. So that is going to wrap up our Nagoya preview. We are super excited for this one to start. It is starting on Sunday, July 9th. Once again, for anybody in Iowa or the Midwest that wants to take a trip down to Des Moines this Saturday starting at noon, Jake, where can they find us?
The bar performance in Johnston. We're going to be getting together on July 8th, noon to 4-ish, depending on how long we want to grapple. But yeah, we'll be there. Ryan will finally, the last of the 4 GSB hosts, will finally be putting on the Mawashi.
The moment we've all been waiting for. But we've had a lot of sumo coverage over the past couple of weeks. I feel like we've had a lot more podcasts coming out recently than we usually do between Bashos. We had 2 Bansuke episodes. We also had our episode celebrating the retirements of Tochinoshin Ishiura and Ichinojo. Go ahead and check that one out for an hour and a half conversation about those 3 careers.
Speaking of, we do have another voicemail from a fan coming up after the credits here.
Ooh, very fun.
Very
and
nice.
Also check out Mac and I got an opportunity to sit down with Sumo Jason Harris for about an hour interview. So if you haven't listened to that interview with Jason, it's a wonderful hour of talking sumo with him. I highly recommend checking that out. And then we'll be back in about a week and a half for the midway episode sans Mac, but that's all right. We'll put our chins up and we'll carry through. And then we'll do everything over again. So thank you all for listening.
Thank you for listening to Grand Sumo Breakdown. Until next time,
throw your salt high,
and keep moving forward.
Hey, my name's Charlie. I'm from Georgia. First time caller, long time listener. You guys were asking for people to call and talk about why they liked Tochinoshin so much. I was a fan of him when I first started getting into sumo, but what really solidified it for me was an old episode of y'all's, the Namiyama episode, which I really wish y'all would do again. I haven't seen it, but I believe in that episode that it was mentioned that he accounted for like all but one of the uses of Suridashi in the last year when that episode was made, and I was like, I love this freak of nature. That was what really endeared me to him, and then, watching him make his Ozeki run and watching him fight through all those injuries just really cemented it even more. I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss him a lot. He was my favorite wrestler. And, yeah. I hope that someone else comes along to pick up the torch of just lifting guys up like children and making them look like amateurs. Thanks.